Alright, so the movie AntMan, it's been out a while, but my kids weren't at an age to see it when it came out, and so I went and watched it again to try and decide if it's a movie that I would share with my kids and what I would talk to them about it once they watched it. And so I try to come up with questions while I'm watching the movie to ask my kids after watching it, but more on that in a minute. First, would I share this movie with my kids? Guys, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a lot of fun, and I love watching fun things with my kids. I would say this movie is the first movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I'd say is probably the most family-friendly. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a lot of fun. Paul Rudd in this movie is just so funny. He is a guy I would hang out with. Definitely, 100%. I love him in this movie, and I think it's a fun movie that I would share with my kids. But let me tell you why. First, I liked how fun it was. I mean, the dialogue is fun and light. The stakes aren't too high. It's not like the whole universe is going to explode or anything. There are some stakes, there is some danger. Some people are trying to do some bad things. But it's not like this huge Avengers-level event. It's something that, Ant-Man needs to take care of. But he still has a good time. Like, you can tell that Paul Rudd is enjoying himself. And you can tell that the other characters are as well. There's witty dialogue, and again, it's just a fun movie. Some other things that I like is I like the overall theme. So the theme of this movie I felt like was redemption. It's also being a good dad, which, I personally, I relate with that. I want to try and be a good dad, so I like seeing other dads trying to be good dads. Now, these dads went from a place where they weren't good dads. So you have Hank, who was the old Ant-Man, who's now the mentor of the new Ant-Man, which is Scott. And he's trying to reconnect with his daughter after being in prison for, I think, like 3 or 4 years after, being a thief. And he's trying to, get his life back on track. Hank has kind of estranged his daughter. He was this superhero secret agent that didn't share anything with his daughter, and then got super bitter and cold after his wife disappeared, and so just wasn't a good dad. Scott hasn't been a good dad. They're both bad dads, but you see in the progression of this movie that they try and be better dads, which is kind of cool. You see Scott really trying to dive into being a better person. He doesn't do it quite right in the beginning. You see him kind of fall back into his old ways of thievery. And Hank points it out. He's like, hey, when things get hard for you, you fall back into this ways, which is bad. Don't do that. And Scott's like, yeah, I know, I'm, bad habits. I don't know. But you see him accept that and understand that and then try to move forward. And then you see Hank starting to open up with his daughter. He's really estranged his daughter, Hope. The only reason she's teaming up with him right now is because their world is in danger. But he does start to open up to her and trust her more, and they start to build that relationship. So that overall theme of redemption is really cool, and that's something I want my kids to see. I also love when there's another strong female hero. There's not enough of those out there. I mean, Black Widow is fun, Scarlet Witch is fun, but they're few and far between, and it's nice to have Hope, who's not quite a full-on hero yet in this movie, but she does become Wasp later, spoiler alert, sorry about that. But it's cool to have a strong female character. All right, so what did I not like about this movie? Like I said, this is a more family-friendly movie, but it is still PG-13 for a little bit of violence, a little bit of suggestive material, and that's all it was. I mean, there was just a little bit of violence. There wasn't a lot of blood. There's 2 people that get vaporized, and one in kind of a way that I don't love. He kind of, gets like shrunk in different pieces of him at a time, and he's like screaming when that happens. It's the main bad guy, but that could be a little traumatizing to kids. There are a couple of, sexual innuendo comments made. I think most of them just go over kids' heads. They're not really something that comes out. One of them I didn't like that kind of objectified a woman. But again, they're so fast and not really focused on that I don't think they stick. I don't know. That's something that didn't sit super well with me. And then in the end, it kind of talks about how stealing is what they're trying to do. They're trying to break into this facility. It's still like a heist movie. And the consequences are for good, even though they're doing things that break the law. So there's the kind of gray area. Vigilantes in general break the law as far as like superheroes are concerned. So, that's just, again, a gray area you might have to talk to your kids about. But other than that, it's a really fun movie. So like I said, yeah, to absolutely share with my kids. I would try and ask them some questions, though, after watching it. First of all, is what Scott, Hank, and Hope did, was that the right way to go about things? I mean, did they make a good decision with their whole heist situation? Honestly, there's other things they could have done. There was the Avengers, there is S.H.I.E.L.D., there is the authorities. I know that Hank was super protective about his technology, really worried about that, but was that the right choice? Could have gone a little better. I mean, it did work out well for them in the end, but could it have gone differently had they involved some other people, maybe showed a little more trust? Maybe backing up a little bit and talk about, why Scott felt like he had to go back to thievery, had to steal some things, what was his motivations, and have an open discussion about this guy who becomes a hero and how he got there, and if that was a good path, bad path. See what your kids think about that. And then at the very end, I would just ask him, would you like to be shrunken? I mean, would that be cool to be like a little person in a situation? To be like Ant-Man? He was never really a superhero I strived to be. I'm like, why is he small? But they make him seem really cool in this movie. So maybe ask your kids about, what that would be like, what kind of perspective you would have as being shrunk way down. Okay, that's it. That's my review of Ant-Man. And as far as going chronologically in the MCU, it's the first one that I feel like is the most family friendly. I don't think the other ones were as much, but this one I felt like was lighter and more fun and something that the kids would really enjoy. Alright, so if you like this video, then hit the like button below. Check out my other videos, my other reviews of the MCU. I've reviewed all the ones up to this point, and you can check those out. If you'd like, you can subscribe below. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.